I have an idea. We're going to take a trip. Let's say from Germany to the US. And we're going to enjoy some fine dining, enjoy a little movie time, maybe even meet a couple of ladies. But you see, no, we're not doing this on a boat. We're going to fly there. We're going to say go in a giant balloon filled with a highly explosive gas powering it. Now, this may seem like a crazy idea to you and me, but to the people of the 1930s, this was the idea. Today, we're going to be talking about the Hindenburg airship. Welcome back to the Average Guy Explains YouTube channel, your one-stop place for all the knowledge in the world that you did not need, taught to you by a guy who's definitely not qualified to teach you about it. The Hindenburg, also known as LZ-129, was a German passenger airship, the pride of the Nazi regime's air ambitions. It was built by the Zeppelin Company from 1931 to 1936, and its design was to do transatlantic and transcontinental flights. It was basically a flying hotel, a luxury resort in the sky. Now, it was the largest airship that had ever been flown at 245 meters. Now, those of us that don't know what a meter is, that's about 3 football fields long. And its size and technological prowess made it a modern marvel in the airship world. Fun fact, the Hindenburg was actually named after Paul von Hindenburg, or if you would prefer his actual birth name, Paul Ludwig Hans Anton von Beneckendorf und von Hindenburg. Who was a famous German general in World War I and would later be elected to president of Germany from 1925 until 1934, when he transferred power to the short German mustache man who made the whole world mad, whose name rhymes with Schmadoff Bittler. Powered by 4 massive engines, the Hindenburg could hold 72 passengers. Aboard the ship was dining rooms, lounges, cabins, and even a smoking room. Refreshing. Transatlantic flights above the Hindenburg were supposed to be the epitome of luxury air travel. You see, the Hindenburg had one design flaw, though, and that's its reliance on hydrogen. You see, if you wanted to use a gas to make something float, you really had 2 choices. You had hydrogen and you had helium. Both gases are lighter than air, so you can float things with them. Think of balloons at a kid's birthday party. Now, hydrogen is highly flammable, foreshadowing, and that was the gas that the Zeppelin Company decided to use to float the Hindenburg. See, unlike helium, which is not flammable, hydrogen was cheap and readily available everywhere. But the original design of the Hindenburg airship called for the use of helium, but the US was the only manufacturer at the time that produced helium and had an export ban. The Zeppelin Company tried to convince the US to license its export for use, but after many failed attempts, the decision was made to use hydrogen gas instead. And this decision would prove to be disastrous and catastrophic when tragedy struck. Fun fact, in July of 1936, the Hindenburg set a record round-trip time flying from Frankfurt, Germany to Lakehurst, New Jersey in 98 hours and 28 minutes. See the times for each leg of the trip above. Now, you have to remember, this was incredible for the time because at this time in history, most airplanes could not fly from one continent to the next as they didn't have enough fuel and they were not powerful enough to make the trip. The Hindenburg made 63 successful flights in its lifetime, including 17 transatlantic flights. And on May the 6th, 1937, it set off on its final flight. It departed Frankfurt, Germany, and was heading to Lakehurst, New Jersey in the United States. Upon arrival at its destination, it had been in the air for 3 days, and Wind conditions were calm and the weather was actually great. But upon arriving at its destination, something went horribly, horribly wrong. As the Hindenburg approached its destination at Lakehurst Naval Air Station, it began descending as normal. But then, suddenly, a fire erupted aboard the ship, and that fire would soon rapidly engulf the entire ship into flames before it could land. Just before 7:25 p.m., witnesses on the ground and aboard the ship claimed they witnessed a spark which started a fire aboard the ship, and within 30 seconds, the entire airship was engulfed in flames. Now, what caused this spark or what caused the fire is still a debate to this day. Nobody knows. There's theories on whether it was static electricity. There's theories that lightning struck the ship. I don't know, maybe people aboard the ship smoking could have caused it. No one knows what started the fire, but due to the hydrogen gas design, the entire airship went up in flames in less than 30 seconds. Within minutes, the Hindenburg crashed into the ground. Of the 97 people aboard, 36 of them died as a result of this tragedy. 13 passengers, 22 crew members, and 1 ground crew member were all killed. Miraculously, a lot of people were actually able to escape the flames. The fire was so intense that within minutes, the Hindenburg airship was reduced to nothing but molten hot steel frames laying on the ground. Fun fact, the entire Hindenburg disaster was actually captured on film, making it one of the first great tragedies ever to be captured on video. It was captured by radio broadcaster Herbert Morrison, who continued to narrate during the entire disaster. He's famous for being quoted as saying, "Oh, the humanity," as the airship crashed into the ground. Now, this entire video is still available to watch to this day, and I'll actually link a video of the Hindenburg disaster down in the description. Immediately following the disaster, investigations began. Led by the U.S. Department of Commerce, they sought to learn what caused the fire. And after many investigations and dead ends, no definitive answer was ever reached. Many people blamed the construction of the airship, and others obviously blamed the fact that it was filled with hydrogen gas, but to this day, nobody actually knows what caused it. Some theories suggest that the fire started at the tail end of the ship. Now, it's a bold, brave theory since this was captured on film and you can see that the fire started at the tail of the ship, but people don't know the origin of it. They don't know if it was a spark that ignited where the hydrogen gas was stored. They don't know if there was a hydrogen leak that eventually crept its way into the cabin area, which caused the fire. Nobody really knows. The only definitive answer anyone has is that the use of hydrogen gas was the leading cause of how rapidly the entire ship engulfed into flames. I like to imagine that the investigation, it probably will look like this. You got the guy with the little like bowler hat or fedora hat, and he's got the cigarette. You know, I don't really know what caused the crash, but certainly it was something flammable. The Hindenburg disaster marked the beginning of the end of passenger airships. I'm sure you've noticed that there are none still flying around to this day. Many countries immediately after the disaster banned the use of hydrogen and shifted to helium instead, but the shadow that the crash of the Hindenburg had over the entire airship community pretty much marked their rapid decline until eventual non-existence. Today, the Hindenburg's legacy lives on as a cautionary tale of ambition and intrigue and technology and the dangers of cutting corners in the pursuit of grandeur. While airships no longer exist to this day, the Hindenburg will live on forever as both a tale of human ambition and human tragedy. But I believe this is going to wrap up today's video on the Hindenburg disaster. I hope you learned something. If you did, give me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe if you haven't. Let me know what you think. Would you fly aboard a giant Zeppelin across the ocean. I feel like in today's market, obviously, it's never going to come around, as passenger airlines and airplanes are the standard for transcontinental flight. But I don't know. I feel like we lost a little something though with this. You're in an airplane, you're stuck in a crummy chair next to people you probably really don't like, and you're just sitting there through the monotonous flight time. It would be kind of cool to walk around and freely travel aboard this thing as it floats across the ocean. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. But anyway, as usual, I appreciate everybody for taking time out of their day to watch these videos. And until the next one, take care.